welcome to another edition of Brews, Bros, and beef jerky.
Oh, beef jerky.
Yeah.
I like beef jerky.
I do too.
I like a good beef
So-
jerky. I used to have a beef jerky connection. A guy in Nebraska would do all the killing. Do it. First time I ever had duck jerky. It's the greatest thing
Yes.
ever.
Right. I'm Scott Worden, COO at StorSuite.
I'm Damon Emerson. I'm Vice President, Sales and Client Success. Today, we wanted to do something a little different, but we want to talk about the foundation of goal setting. So we have a couple questions we want to go through, a couple that people provided, but main idea is talking about goal setting, especially as we're growing StorSuite and things that we've been working on, but not just goal setting, what strategies, possible execution, the challenges, mindset that's needed, and then, how is it measured? And at the end of it, everything has to have a future focus. So what are some of the things that you can do, right?
Right.
And we've been talking a lot about, with what we've been doing lately, coming into 2025, everything was about, growing the company as a whole, right? Like my specialty has been protection. Scott has worked in the tech side of things for a long time. He's worked in websites. Our CEO created an amazing website marketing company. Our chairman, does a lot with the acquisitions. Him and our head of the third-party management they've forgotten more than I think I'll ever know. But coming into this year, it was about the goals and what we were going to achieve, but we've had to adapt, right?
Yeah.
Because it's ever changing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So because there's so many other things that you're doing, life gets in the way, right? Life happens. That's what I like to say. So one way to kind of create a focus is to set goals and set some targets to be able to execute.
I agree.
Yeah. So I know that when we were kind of talking about this subject, we talked about, in the past, our upbringings and being able to be in sports and whatnot. I learned early on to set goals and things to achieve and be able to, set your sights on something. And then once you achieve something, then you do set another target and another target. And that's how you get certainly better, but also just how you get things accomplished.
Yes. One of the best things I think I ever heard is someone said, hey, yeah, great month. And, someone goes, yeah, I'm just real lucky. And someone chimed in the back and it was just the perfect time. And it's amazing how the hardest working people always have the greatest luck.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because typically they're people who set their goals and have an understanding on what it's going to take to be able to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, especially, you go through certain changes, but, we, in setting goals, why, well, let me ask you this. Why do you think that setting a goal is so incredibly critical for your business? Why do you believe at the end of all of it that it's one of the most important things you have to do?
Gets everybody on the same page. It sets a direction and it creates a focus. I'd say those are probably the three main things.
I agree with that. You may not always like them, and some of the goals sometimes can be daunting.
Very.
But you never know what you're capable of until you start moving forward. And I think goals have a tendency to help people see what they are able to do, even if maybe they didn't think they could do it. Mm-hmm. And I think in the business world, you have to have goals. I don't think you can go around it. Let me ask you this question. And this is something I go back and forth on. And I think about a lot. We talk about the, goals, but you also, like when you have a new hire and they're doing goals, you always kind of go, well, what's your goal? Mm-hmm. But then what's your ambitious goal, right? Like how to you, when you're talking and you're working with someone, what are some of the process that you think is important when you're doing that and how to separate it between the two to help someone understand?
Well, one thing is important is are you defining a goal that's achievable? And so if you're giving a goal to somebody and they automatically think it's not achievable, it's going to be set up for failure.
Yes.
When you set an achievable goal, what that allows you to do is you create what that process is going to look like for that individual. They're buying in. And then the stretch goal that you're talking about is, okay, if we have set this bar here, what is another bar? What would be the ultimate pinnacle? Like, I did an amazing job, or these are things. And so when they start to think in those terms of, I don't have a finish line to get to and I'm done and, I can coast. It's more of like, I want more. I want to be able to do more. And so somewhere in between is typically where that should lie, like where that individual comes in. So they're achieving the goal. They're also achieving above the goal.
And I think, goals come in different shapes and sizes, right? Numbers, and from a business standpoint, if you're not doing the numbers and you don't have your goals and you're not achieving what you need to, it's all moot point, right? But I came into this year and the goals were obviously revenue and how much we were going to grow, and that was a big part of it. But goals for me were also, I want to be better at the marketing side, right? Because I have been known, and people still, I am the expert on the protection and tenant insurance, and that's great. But for me, that is not good enough at this point, because I want to be able to have a intelligent conversation on third-party management. I want to be able to listen to what John says when he's talking about acquisitions. Like, I've never seen anybody who just racks off numbers. We were at
Rain Man. You saw Rain Man.
We were at an investor event a few weeks ago, and he's helping this woman, and it's amazing. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And here's what you're going to do. And it's multiple 6 and this, and he's going through it. And I'm like, I need this on record, right? Yeah. But one of my goals is that's what I'm going to continue to do. And then with tech, so you're making yourself more well-rounded. And for me, yes, the numbers are there, but the additional goal was, I'm going to make sure that I'm bettering myself for these other areas so that we can continue to grow. And I can use my platform, and we can all use our platform to continue to show our industry, how great StorSuite is. So it's exciting to be able to kind of look at it from that venture. All right, let's talk a little bit of strategy and execution. Yeah. So, we talked about, having kind of your balanced goals, but how are your growth-oriented goals? How do you balance your growth-oriented goals with operational efficiency goals? And this is like, operations is a specialty for you. So I've been able to learn some of the operations side from just kind of listening and watching you. But how do you balance that?
It's tricky. I think whenever you're looking to accomplish anything, you're always looking for ways to improve. And so how you can do that is certainly, you do a total assessment. Is there a better way? Something that you can, include. AI is becoming a big part of our, business in everyday life now. So we have a lot more tools at our disposal to be able to do that.
Wallet Pass. At your fingertips, being able to rent units and communicate. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would say when you look at from the operations, that the process procedure can be, it certainly could be a detriment to you achieving a goal. So making sure that all of those areas are in place so you can be set up for success.
We talk about what a great team we have. We're very proud of across the board. But when you're setting goals, how do you figure out what role your employees at different levels play?
Yeah.
Like when you're setting them, like how do you go about, or what's a good method, or what's a good tip?
Yeah. So, I would say historically businesses will say, hey, in the fall, we're going to get together, we go through budgets, set goals, and do things, and then we introduce them, and we meet individually with our team and try to set out what that plan looks like. Oftentimes, what can happen is it becomes out of sight, out of mind a month or two into it. So setting milestones. So I look at trying to break things up in bits and pieces. So if we're saying that, by the end of the year, let's use a revenue goal. We want to hit X amount of dollars. In order to do that, we have to go through 12 months, 52 weeks, and just kind of start breaking those down. And so when you start to break them down into bite-sized pieces, it's not as daunting.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that you can also do is you can see, are you on track or not? So if you think of, if you ever ran track, I did junior high. Junior high, terrible, slow. But, I did, at the 1600. So what that means is you're going and doing laps around the track. But yeah, it was terrible. So the first lap is going to give you a milestone of, hey, this is what your time is. And then the second one, and you can tell whether you're on pace or not based off they call them splits, based off your splits. I didn't split my pants. It was just splitting. And then you can see if you're going to be able to achieve that and, again, break your personal record and whatnot. So you're doing the same thing. You're just creating these own milestones, your own way to be able to say, like, hey, am I on track? And if not, what do I need to do differently? So one thing I would always recommend is, you create habits. And so, when you go, how much sleep you get, and what you do when you wake up, and the first thing you do in the morning when you go in the office, if you're going in and start to look at all your emails, you're going to get buried.
Yep.
So you got to be really disciplined. I think sports really got us into being
I think it definitely helped. Sports for me helped a lot. I found this, and I'm enamored with gadgets. I get made fun of because I like gadgets, but that's okay.
So note cards are gadgets?
To me it is, because it's something different. But
they're flashcards.
This is it's not a flashcard. It's a card planner. So what it does is when I come in, the night before, I'll write out some things that I want to do, and this is my goal.
Okay.
And then when I go home and I think a lot, or if I have wake up in the middle of the night and I'm going, I create other and I put them in my phone. And when I come back in, I look at what I wrote the night before. Those are the goals that I want to achieve. And then I will put under it, here's other things that I thought about. Mm-hmm. And then my goal is each and every day, I want to either achieve everything, or I'm going to set it up as instant, long-term, and call it midterm, right? Like I'm going to get this done by the end of the week. But I found that to be very, for me, helpful. Mm-hmm. As an ADD person, as we've talked about, I need any bit of help that I can get, right? Mm-hmm. But how do you personally keep your motivation and stay focused on the long-term objective? So not just short. I think short-term sometimes becomes easier, but long-terms, it's more ebb and flow, I find. What are some tips that you have, and how do you find that you keep that motivation strong?
So when I'm focused, I'm focused. Me and my wife could walk by, you could walk by, not the same place. And I'm laser focused on what I'm looking to accomplish. There are times where life happens and you get derailed and something takes place, it doesn't go as planned, and you have to be prepared for that. And so how do you adjust to that? And then how you communicate on those adjustments to the other stakeholders that might need to. So to stay focused, I think having note cards like that is really helpful. It's front and center.
Yep.
Calendar reminders. I do different tasks like in my phone where it gives me an alert so that I know, hey, I need to do this. And again, I try to only do like a handful of things that are manageable. I don't want to say, well, I'm going to do 50 things today and I don't have to do the things the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Just, it's not attainable. So if I'm like, hey, what are the 3 main things I want to do? And I get those accomplished, I feel good.
Yes.
And then I know I have other things I need to do, but I at least got the baseline of what I need done.
I like that. I think when you're doing this as well and you have partners, I think it's key to make sure that your partners know what your goals are, because it's not just being held accountable by your supervisor or whatever. It's, if in our case, because we are co-founders, right? The idea is it's not always necessarily being really held accountable, but it's also having a cheering squad, right? It's being able to have, so that when you get close, you got to be able to celebrate. And that's something for me that it gets difficult at times, because I'm always on to the next thing. And but I was this way in sports. I don't know how to celebrate, right? Because I always feel if I celebrate, maybe something will go wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We don't all win Super Bowls, right? We're not like the Eagles, you know.
How often, as business owners, but how often should businesses review and adjust their goals?
Quarterly is always going to be something that everybody should have broken down. But you can, so as a business as a whole, I think it's easier to look from a quarterly perspective than it is a monthly perspective, because your business could have cycles in it.
Yes.
So with that said, you as the individual should also factor in that cycle. So for example, if I know January is a slow month and it picks up in February and March, I need to be prepared for that. So I need to know, I'm building that in, that I'm going to set myself up for the February or the March, and not just say, well, January is terrible anyway, so I'm not going to do anything. I'll just wait till February. We know that that's not how that works. And how many times have you gotten ghosted from a prospect, and then you see them and like, oh my gosh, I've been meaning to call you. I've been calling you for 2 years.
When did you mean to call me? Because I left a few messages. So
now it was like that in high school for me. I'd leave a message for a girl and she would call me back. And, oh my gosh, I've been meaning to call you.
They're lost.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I July was my big one. And all the time, July has always been. We talked about the worst month for me. And I just, every summer hits going into July, I'm always like, oh God, I just don't want to deal with it. And then this year, my goal, one of them was, you better darn well go into July motivated and not backing down, right?
Yeah.
And sure enough, I had the best July I think I've ever had in 18 plus years in self-storage, right, from a sales stand. And I got excited, and that was when I allowed myself to get excited. But then it was like, well, okay, it's August 1st. All right, now what, right? How do you measure success beyond just financial results?
It's actually been a question that I've been trying to answer for probably about 35 years. Because I achieve a goal and I hit another goal. So, from a personal standpoint, you look at, your family, and you look at that type of, your friends and things around you as that being success. From a business standpoint, I think it's not only what you're achieving, but how you're helping others achieve.
Yes.
So we as leaders, and even just a coworker, can help another individual out. So I look at business success as, if I'm coaching or teaching somebody, I want them to be more successful than I am, as far as I want to see them move up in business and see them prosper. As one of the biggest joys for me is how I can help touch somebody and be able to help, have some sort of like a piece that I contributed. Mm-hmm. So for me, I love strategies. I love things that I'm trying to think of what is different. We talked about just briefly, AI. So everybody's on this AI craze. Well, how does that fit in here? I kind of want to solve some of these little mysteries, like like Scooby-Doo and Mystery Machine. So those
old man Flanders.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's kind of I think success is more the gratification than anything.
I think it is. It's a gratification. I think it's a happy team. We are very fortunate in the StorSuite family that we don't have selfish team members. We don't. Everyone wants to help their suite, but they also want to know how they can help. Marketing wants to know how they can help tech because they're going to work hand in hand. But it's not because I need this so that it works. It's how can I help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Protection wants to work and help marketing, right? And third-party management wants to know, hey, how often has Mike Lotta sat there and said, hey, you guys are talking to a client? If you want, get me the numbers, right? I'll help you figure this out. And it's like, he did it on the marketing side. It's, and when all is said and done, that is the success. It's the fact that, at times we're going to run slim because everybody has the same goal in mind. And that is, we are going to help grow this company to be successful. And then the financial comes in the long run, right? But the employees and the team we have, that to me is really the measure of success, because everything else allows us to spend time with our families and allows us to watch others grow with their families, and people get promoted and people be able to do more. And then you see some amazing stars, right, that just blossom. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And with all that, you have to go into future, right?
Yeah.
Because everything with this, it's all about setting up. What advice would you give to a business owner setting their first big goals?
One, when you are looking at reviewing your business plan, you want to be able to say, okay, what is attainable? And, what are the measures of how you can get there? So year one, you are really laying out the foundation, trying to kind of navigate where's the bathroom, where's this? And, you're putting all the pieces, the foundation together, where you're 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the ones where you start to see some real results. So, keep in mind when you are setting goals, sometimes you're not going to get the results where based off it. The effort that you're putting in doesn't always correlate to the results that you are getting.
Yes.
Luck does actually play a big factor in some of this stuff, right? That's part of, life. So lay out the foundation, create good processes and procedures, be willing to adjust, set those goals so they're attainable, and, get the collaboration with your group, everybody get buy-in. If you're the only one that is, setting the goals and saying, this is what you need to do, it's going to be really hard to be successful and attain that. They got to buy in. So
I think communication is key.
Yep.
I've gone through a couple things lately where communicating, you need to communicate, and I've realized I need to communicate better with certain team members, right? So no one's perfect, but, I took a path different than what I typically would. And then sure enough, I realized, I should have just followed my instinct, right? But when you're doing these goals, the communication side, because it's not even really, it's not, hey, you didn't achieve, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. It's, they need to know that they can come to you with their goals. And if their goals, even if they're behind, right? It's just, here's where I am today. I'm going to get there. All right, well, how can I help? Right. And it's understanding, to me, your surroundings and the team you have. And then it's the team you have that has to be able to make sure that they let you know that, give yourself grace. This is what we're going to accomplish. But it's just the communication factor is just such a big key. I think that's it. I mean, you kind of covered, the next one is going to be 5 to 10 years out. But I mean, that's really kind of what it is, right?
Yeah. You're always constantly evaluating, reassessing. Like I said, typically a business will look at things from an annual basis of setting budgets and doing things so that they have a path. But in order to do that, you really have to be, setting milestones. And do things.
I agree. Anybody watching this or listening to this, we've been doing this a long time. I think we came to the conclusion we have over 100 years of self-storage expertise in our company. But
sounds like dinosaurs.
I know, right? We are doing some great things, guys. We are We just bought our first facility under the StorSuite brand this year. It's in Oklahoma. We are crazy excited. We are going to be looking for investors throughout. We're actually putting out some good things on social media. So if you're an accredited investor, please feel free to reach out. We also have, if you're in storage, we have our suite of services are amazing. Our marketing and website company, our team. I mean, they're amazing.
Shoot, if we don't do it, we know somebody that does.
We know somebody that does, right?
So,
our tenant protection program is going strong. It's all about transparency. Third-party management, you will not find a better team from anybody. I just think they do such a great job. And can't say enough about tech. The tech with the StorPass and even StorPass alerts, it just makes communication better in the process and being able to have a tenant utilize the tool for renting units, making payments, everything. And anybody listen, give us a call, man. We are here to help. We're here to talk. And if anything, we make a new friend. Yep. So
always learning.
Great talking to you. Great seeing you.
All right.
Have a good one, guys.
Until next time.
Until next time.